Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
How's everybody doing?
Good morning, doing good.
Morning.
Come on over the 4th, what'd you do fun and exciting?
Someone share. Something good.
Went to the beach with the family for a week.
There you go.
That's fun, Billy.
Yeah, for a day or two.
What else? What are we grateful for? Or something good?
Grateful for life.
Grateful for life. Amen to that, Rob. What else? That one's hard to follow, but. Carla, what you got?
Grateful for we have a week of vacation, the family, and it was a long waited trip. So grateful for being with my teenagers, talking and sharing stories with them, which is hard at this age. So grateful for them.
Absolutely. Anytime that you have a moment when they're all together in one place and you can actually have conversations, that is something to definitely be grateful for.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
That's why we do what we do.
That's so true. Anyone else want to share gratitude or just a win over the weekend? Anything? Or anything that you might be struggling with that we can all jump in and help with?
I just want to say thank you to everybody who reached out last week. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, Rob, you had a tough week.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump in.
All right, so here's what we'd like to do today. Here we go, July 7th. We're gonna take a kind of look at the first half of the year, January 1 through June 30. We're just gonna look at a couple of different reports here, maybe I'm gonna, get us going with some numbers. Just to set the stage, here's what I asked for: residential property. Again, I gave you the timeline, the date range, and I looked at an 8-county sampling: Mecklenburg, Gaston, Lincoln, Cabarrus, Iredell, Union, Lancaster, and York counties. So kind of like, Charlotte and surrounding. So that kind of set the stage for what we got here. And the first report we want to look at is this one. Robin, if we could just scroll down just a little bit. Here's what I want you guys to see. Remember, first 6 months, 8-county area, closed almost 18,000 units with an average price of $543. And if you look at the volume, you've got to add, times 1,000, $9.7 billion in closed volume. That's first 6 months of the year. That's our Charlotte kind of market area, right? You can see, almost 18,000 units closed. 10,000 of those were 0 to 30 days on the market.
So still the majority are closing within 30 days.
Still the majority. 31 to 60 days on the market, 2851. So if I just add those two together, we're almost at that 12,900 units. Yeah, you've got 2/3 of your units almost that are going to go on, that'll be under contract within 60 days going on the market. And then you've got all the other categories, and we've seen this report before, and I'll let you guys we're happy to share this and get it out to the market center. If you want to go back, because again, I love this report because it does break it down by price point, bedroom count, all of that stuff, right? And we can see everything we can see. And I love that this report also gives us how were these paid for. So here's the thing, cash. Let's look at the cash purchases for a minute. 3,368 of the 17,945 were paid for in cash.
Well, let's think about this. Over the last couple of years, we were seeing anywhere between 40 to 60% of all homes that were being bought by cash. So I think this number is pretty huge because we're seeing definitely a shift.
It's 18%.
Yeah.
It's 18% of the homes that closed so far this year are cash. What does that mean? somewhere between 1 out of every 5 to 1 out of every 6 homes are a cash purchase. 11,000, almost 11,000 of them are conventional financing. And of course, because we did the sampling area that we did, and we didn't break it down by price point, there's some FHA in there, of course, 2,336 FHA units. Almost 1,000 DA purchases, another 63 USDA. I still don't know what other category means, but there's 200 of that in that category. So this kind of gives you guys an idea too of how people are buying the homes, but think about this, because occasionally you may still hear that some buyers feel that maybe they're competing with big investors who go in and suck up all the inventory. Is that really a truth? No, we just said 1 out of 5 to 1 out of 6 homes are paid for with cash so far this year. Yeah, I would say that if there's 18,000 units closed, only 3,000, roughly 400 of them were cash purchases. So are buyers really competing in that category with, let's call it the bigger investors or institutional investors?
Institutional buyers.
Yeah, it's not really a truth.
Well, and again, I think it just goes back to being able to have an intelligent conversation with your buyers.
Well,
And being able to just eliminate that emotion that they may be feeling.
sure.
Because maybe they have lost out on
And they could have.
multiple offers, so that's what they're feeling, so we have to be able to. Eliminate that for them, so we can move on and find them the right house.
Well, and here's the thing to keep in mind with this, guys. Again, here's a piece of evidence. It's not just you're just not throwing stats out there, right? You're just not using words. You're providing proof of how the market's performing, right? Now, to Robin's point, let's say maybe somebody's in a 3 to 350 price point. Maybe it's a little bit more competitive in that price point or that area in terms of cash. Here's what you can do with this report. If we scroll all the way back to the top real quick. When you're putting in the criteria you want for this trend indicator report, you still go in and put in residential. You can still put in whatever date range you want. Your criteria, you could look at, for example, you can now break it down by price. You can break it down by county, a city. You can break it down by zip code. This won't let you break it down into neighborhood on this one, but it still gives you that quick one pager that kind of shows people maybe, and the price point they're looking at, if they've been outbid or they're losing out on properties, how are these properties typically being paid for, right? So now they know what they're up against, or maybe they're not really, because maybe they don't have a reliable lender they're using or something. You can show them the power of what being truly prepared in the market, what it can do to help them win at getting the home they want, getting it under contract.
I think the expired was kind of an eye-opening. If you look here in that 500, because our average sale price is running anywhere
Yeah.
from 5 and 6 something.
Yeah,
Yet the expireds here in that range. 201 expireds.
and again, the 201, I wonder if there's a concentration. Is that Mecklenburg? Is that?
Right.
Is that by zip code? What does that really look like? But, if there's opportunity, we're gonna look at another report here in a minute that will break that down even further and show us what opportunity looks like.
Well, I always think this goes back to pricing too. We talk about. Price, condition, location.
All
This
has
could
to be in alignment.
pricing. All have to be in alignment.
Everything has to be in alignment, any market. Sometimes it's not as sensitive to things, but other times when we're moving maybe towards a more balanced or rational market. Yeah, all of the things have to be in alignment. It's gonna show up even more.
Questions, comments, ahas when you're taking a look at this.
I have a listing in Indian Trail and he has been sitting for 20 days. We haven't made a price adjustment. And I told you about this, Robin, like they are from India and they are very scared that if they keep going and reducing the price, that they're not going to give away anything, because honestly, they think their market is going to be a person from that with that ethnicity too. So, and I know Indian Trail is taking a long time on days on the market, but they still like think that they were expecting to sell fast. They need to move. So how do I bring that to them, and how do I bring that to the market to say like, we need to sell because they're moving away, but I don't want to give it away their price.
Well, giving it away means it's zero. That's the offer, right? So they're never gonna give it away. I get what you're saying, because sellers say that all the time. You know, I've already lowered my price by 50 grand, now I'm just giving it away. You're not really. It was never the extra 50 grand, or else you would have had your offer. And here's the evidence on it. If we can scroll down real quick, Robin, on this one. Here's the evidence, 0 to 30 days on the market. There's an old thing, I think this came from NAR. I was taught this early on in my career. Your first 30 days, most critical on the market, right? Within that first typically 3 weeks, you should get about 12 showings on average. If you don't, you have a price problem. If you get the showings, but you don't have an offer, you have a price problem. 99% of the time. Shows up, it's true in any market. So if you set the stage of expectation with your seller around that, and then you start providing evidence, well, here's look at this. Here's everybody that successfully closed. Yet, if we look at a big chunk of that, over 10,000 of those sellers, 0 to 30 days on the market. So you're bringing that statement to life by showing them this. So is price critical in any market? Yes, it is. So don't go and list it up here because they think it's worth it when it's the wrong expectation. If it was worth it, they'd get the offer. And we're going to look at another report here in a minute that will kind of set the stage for that too.
And you said 22 days on market so far, Carla?
Yes, and but the thing is that it's a new well, it's new, it's 2 years old, the home. So I think it's also that they want to get a lower return when you don't have that amount of time to get that big return. So I think they're struggling with that, like what is my return in this investment? Like, but yeah, you buy kind of high and it's only been 2 years in the market, so it's not like you're gonna get this huge return back.
They're not getting the 20% appreciation anymore, are they? They're probably getting about 3 to maybe 4.
Yes.
And this is where we, guys, I love that Carla's bringing this up, because this is our opportunity. When we talk about educating sellers, and in this case, let's say at the listing appointment, taking information, this is why we spend so much time on this, doing this, pulling the right comps, doing the CMA, making the adjustments, really aligning everything to set the right pricing expectation. This makes the later conversations easier, right? I think it was Joe Lindsay, maybe a couple of weeks ago, used a lot of these tools that we're talking about, and in his listing presentation, got basically his price reduction at listing. It was about a $50,000 or $60,000 difference, if I recall, that the sellers wanted, but after Joe explained and visualized how the market is performing, they agreed to the price that they really should be at instead of the one that they felt maybe was the right one.
Because what's happened here is all of these people they've seen that incredible, that
Right.
12, 15, 17, 22% increase in a very short period of time. And all their friends talking about how great it's been over the last few years, but that's not happening now. So that's not the now market, and that's the conversation we have to be having, because they don't think that way, right? They're thinking, even Carla, in your situation, they just bought 2 years ago, so they should see the same increase, but we're not seeing that right now.
Remember, guys, sellers tend to look backwards, buyers tend to look forward. And neither is an alignment
Right.
to now, because what we're talking about is now, and you got two people, two different sides looking the opposite direction.
Yeah, Dave, what you got, Dave?
Yeah, Chip, you just said something I thought is really important. You said you have to help them visualize. So you can tell them all you want, but if you can show them something with the evidence of pricing or trends, that's so much more valuable.
Yeah, so it brings our words to life, and they just don't become words anymore. It changes everything, in my opinion. I've been using the analogy recently. When we were kids, you go to show and tell, right? This is our show and tell moment.
Thank you, Carla, for bringing that up. Anyone else have anything, any ahas or comments? Thanks, Dave, for adding to that.
Hey, Jim Stratman. Real quick, sorry, I didn't mean to just jump at you, buddy.
That's all right.
You're teaching CMA, or have you taught that recently?
I just taught that last week.
Okay, good. Hopefully everybody was there. Because this goes along, what Jim teaches, goes a long way to what we're talking about as well. Thank you for doing that, Jim.
No, my pleasure. I had a good teacher.
Well, I didn't bring it up for that reason, but you're welcome.
He did, Jim.
I really
He
did.
really did. He needed some,
Yeah,
Like,
my shoulder's
not
throwing
quite
out
today.
this, you know. She's not gonna do it.
all right. Anyone else have comments or ahas? Okay,
All right, can we go to the next one?
we might be able to do that.
If that other thing.
Yeah, that other thing, yeah. Let's see. Oh, no.
Yeah, but-
Go away.
I think so.
All right,
Yeah, there we go.
can everyone see this new one?
Inventory counts.
Yes? Great.
All right, so let's look at this one. Again, same sampling, guys, same criteria, time frame, residential, counties, all of it. This breaks it down a little bit differently. We see again, the active, the closed, all the categories. I'm not even gonna say anything else. I just want you to kind of take this in for a minute and then tell me what you think your opportunities are. Where do opportunities lie?
Expireds.
Okay, let's look at that one for a second. First 6 months, 1,646 expired units. The expired price, $930 million with an average days on market of 114. Okay, here's what we know. 930 is not the real number, is it? 930 million. But is there still opportunity there? Absolutely. Because there's 1,646 that expired.
So average, this is a aha for me too, on this expired, average days on market 114, so a little over 90 days. How long was the listing taken for?
Yeah.
So,
Um,
are we, in the past, if the seller said, hey, I just wanna try you out, right?
Yeah,
Make sure that you know what you're doing, and so you would agree to a 90-day listing or a 120-day listing. Because, it's gonna sell in 30 days, right, or 24 hours.
so think about it, Rob. I love what you just said there because I want to try you out. The seller's saying that to a list agent. How was that trial for the seller?
Not good.
What did they think, right? Yeah, my agent didn't know how to get it done. Is it, okay, so let's be fair.
I was gonna say, is it truly a reflection of the agent?
Well, that's what sellers tend to.
That's what they think, and did that agent have an opportunity to have a different conversation up front based on what we know the market is doing right now?
So here's the thing, there's a great opportunity when you list a home. Guys, I would challenge everybody in a little bit of a shifting market, set up a weekly call with your sellers. Like truly at the listing appointment, schedule it. Every Tuesday, we're gonna have a conversation. Your time slot can be, if it works into your calendar, let's say 11 to 11:15. What I'm gonna do on Monday, I'm gonna send you a bunch of information. We're gonna, you look at it, we're gonna get on our call Tuesday, and we're gonna see how the market's performing. Because I wanna make certain there's no surprises, where maybe somebody hit the market at a lower price, and they're gonna steal the next buyer from you. And I just wanna make certain you're not in a position where buyers are comparing you to go buy something else. Because that's not a great feeling. So imagine you talk about value and you want those price reductions. here's what you have to do. You gotta show this stuff every single week.
Well, interesting, Chip, that you said that. I was coaching an agent and they did exactly that, but they did it twice a week. So on Mondays, they would talk about all the open houses. If they had an open house, what was the feedback? What were people saying about the house? What were the agents saying about the price, the condition? That was on Mondays at a certain time, whatever time that is agreed upon with the seller, that's what time they actually had the conversation. On Fridays, then they talked about the market, what closed,
Love it.
what was the price per square foot? So it was really setting up that price reduction conversation, and the sellers really are the ones that came and said, well, gosh, we're priced here, we're priced higher, should we do a price reduction? And actually I had two separate agents, one didn't make those calls, one did make the call. The agent that made the calls, that house sat on the market, they had a property that sat on the market for over 6 months. That seller thought he was the best agent ever that they've ever had, yet had very few showings. The house hadn't sold. However, the agent was communicating on a systematic way every single week.
The big word came out, communication,
Yes.
done consistently, always about educating about the market and explaining what's happening.
Absolutely. So they didn't feel like it was the agent's fault
Right.
at that point. And we've seen agents that have sold in 24 hours and get terrible reviews.
Right,
So,
So can I throw something in about those days on market too, though?
yeah,
Chip, you mentioned doing 60-day listing agreements when the market is shifting, and I implemented that last week with someone who said that they're not going to reduce their price because we got an appraisal prior to going on market because of my suggestion. She didn't believe my price. I said, well, let's get an appraisal. We got an appraisal. We want on market at appraised value. I explained to her that the appraised value is not necessarily the value that buyers will pay, right? So at least we know where to start. And she's like, well, I'm not moving from that number. I said, okay, well, 60 days, we'll see what happens. And the whole time, we've only been on market for a week, but she's already ready to reduce the price. And I think part of that is because, number one, I built the value of we know how to price, right? And we still came in at the appraised value, which is very close to what I said the value would be. And I've told her exactly what's happening in the market. And I've made it very clear that you will lose access to me in 60 days. And she's now ready to lower her price.
yeah, I mean, nothing like setting the tone for the whole timing and motivation, bringing that around together, because I know she's got her underlying motivation too, of why
Sure.
she's selling. Now there's a sense of urgency that comes into play. So I love the strategy. Great job.
Yeah. Well, I was scared as hell to do that because I was like, 60 days is probably not long enough, but it may actually work out.
well, what will probably work out, even if you get to the 60 days, Miranda, is that now you built that trust with her and that that relationship with her that she'll extend anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So good job.
And
Yeah.
to build on, guys, to build on what Miranda was talking about is that when we are working with expireds, what we find is that their perspective hadn't been set in the beginning. So they go into it feeling disillusioned and upset, and will typically ask for a shorter period of time. And then our approach to that is working to set proper perspective and to give that consistent communication and bring knowledge every time we do, so that should we get to that shorter listing point, if it's necessary, they're ready to extend that time with us because they've seen the value in the work and they know that we'll get it done, and their perspective has been turned around by then.
Love.
And Charlene, can you talk a little bit about your strategy around expireds? Because I love what y'all do.
Well, our strategy basically is what we're not only problem solvers, but we're problem finders. It's not necessarily the price that they went on market, but we're going to do an accurate analysis for them. But it's also understanding where you're at in the market and how to strategically place yourself. And then once we've had comments like, you've been in my home more before we even hit the market than the previous agent did the entire time I was on the market. And I've heard from you guys, much more information that I didn't know or understand. So we really work hard and front load to bring proper perspective to these folks. And by doing that, we end up with some really raving fans because we're just doing our work in a professional manner where they didn't see that to begin with.
And the other
Do
thing,
you-
Robin.
do you send a letter, do you call, or do you door knock?
We
Yeah.
door knock, we send a letter, and we call.
Yeah, so we show up differently by doing the door knock. So we do call also on the dialer, but they never know because we're mixed in with the masses.
Yeah.
But when we show up at their door and they say, "Gosh, my phone's been blowing up," and then we just say, "Well, that's why we're here in person because we know we can sell your home."
I
And
love it. Thank you
and
for
so-
sharing that.
so it really works.
Love it. All right, in essence of time, where we are today, I want to look at the withdrawn category real quick. Withdrawals, 2,949 units, $1.8 billion, 82 days average. Guys, here's what I want you to see on this. I mean, the withdrawal is just simply an expired that kind of figured it out before they expired, right?
They're frustrated, probably.
It's frustration, it could be frustration on both sides, could be all the things we've already talked about. But I want you to look at the units here, 2,949. That is the equivalent of what we sell in a month. We look at the close divided by 6. That's almost equivalent to what we sell in 1 month. So there's a month's worth of volume and units that basically went away. Now, some of those could potentially have come back, but I just want us to see this as opportunity, especially if we're kind of unsure of who we could talk to. We don't have a big enough database. I'm not from Charlotte. All the things that, we tend to hear. There's opportunity here. And if you need help with this, there's strategies, there's resources, there's things, and Jim and Charlotte have shared some things already on the expired. There's a lot more information that they shared that maybe they didn't even realize they shared in a minute or two. There were some ahas that came out of that, such as it's not just a phone call, it's a phone call and a door knock. It's showing up differently. It's standing out from the masses. There are a lot of agents that go after expireds. That they do it only by phone call.
I think a lot of times withdrawal might be, in a seller's market especially, we talked a little bit about this last week. In a seller's market especially, they don't have to, the condition doesn't have to be perfect, right? So I think a lot of times it's like, well, let's just try it. Let's put it out there and see what we
Let's
get.
listen for $650. I know you're telling me I need to do, flooring,
Right.
but
And then
guess what?
they don't fix it. ahead of
12,
time.
15 showings later, no
Mhm.
offers,
Mhm.
the seller.
4 months later.
Buyers are going what? I just don't wanna put 40 grand into it.
Mhm.
Whatever, I mean, this is just how it works, guys.
Yeah.
All right, got a couple minutes. Final thoughts, comments, questions, ahas.
Thanks for everybody being on too, on another kind of July 4th holiday week
Extension.
vacation extension. Yeah, so appreciate everybody being on. Ahas.
Let's get 1 or 2. Ideally 2.
I was gonna say 3 or 4, so.
It's your calendar,
Here.
your time. I'm good. I can hang around a little bit more. What would you do with this information?
Carla, what do you got? Oop, I can't hear you. Can anyone hear Carla?
No,
No, we can't hear you, Carla. Still can't hear you.
We want to hear you badly, but we can't. Email it to us, what you're trying to say.
Okay, who else has got one?
I guess really what it comes down to is showing your value
Yeah.
to your clients.
It's
Whether
much
it
of the
be
value.
whether it be through research, whether it be through your activities.
Yeah, I think Jim, for me, that the biggest aha, show up differently. Everyone should have wrote that down. And how can you show up differently? We talk about value all the time. You have to share your value. You have to share your value. Well, what is your value? Yeah, and that could be showing up differently, could be communicating every single week at a certain time to your clients, and you commit to that and you're calling them, because I bet 90% of all agents don't do that. So if you could be different, 10% different than anyone else, that you're showing up differently. Yeah, thanks, Rob. One more.
Good morning. I don't have an aha, but I have a question.
Sure.
So I'm coming from a different market and we are not allowed to call withdrawals. Here, are you allowed to call withdrawals? Or do we have to wait till they're expired?
We can call. We can
Right.
call because that means that the
Yeah.
listing agreement has terminated.
Yeah. There's a difference between withdrawing temporarily off the market, keep that in mind, but if it's been withdrawn, meaning that the termination has been signed between the agency and the seller, the BIC, the broker in charge, has gone in and removed it from our MLS as a withdrawn listing. There is no further agreement in place, unless automatically they've signed something, but you can at least call.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Carla. Carla, don't forget to email me too about some time.
Yes, Carla's aha is I don't know what is going on with my, oh, okay, never mind. My big aha is the show and tell with the clients providing information of the market. So I think that's a great way to wrap it up.
Here we go.
You guys have an amazing, amazing week. We are here to help you. We're here to support you. You're not in this alone. You have our entire team helping you. You have all the agents here at Keller Williams Valentine to reach out to as well. Thank you so much. Have a blessed week.
Appreciate you guys.
Bye, guys. See you tomorrow at team meeting, 11 o'clock. Bye, guys.